Hello and welcome to Hexed Countered. I'm Joe. It's the middle of November, and that means it is time for our monthly channel update. Let's start off with a look at our channel views. In October, there were 13,625 views, which is 9% fewer than there were in September. Not a lot to say there other than maybe people didn't like Tanktoberfest. Watch time would indicate that maybe that's not true. There were 1,658.6 hours of viewing last month, which is slightly more than what the watch time was for September. So my takeaway there is fewer views, but the folks that were watching tended to watch longer, and so that's a net positive in my opinion. Subscribers, now this fell significantly. It's down 29%. I did 146 new subscribers in September, and it went down to 105 in October, so that's a big drop. But honestly, September was probably the best month I've had in subscription terms of maybe ever. I'm not really surprised that the numbers dropped, and so thus far this month, the pace seems to be about the same. I did break the 2,000 subscriber mark in October, and I am definitely not complaining about that. Now let's shift gears and take a look at the top performing videos for October. As usual, we'll channel our inner Casey Kasem and do a countdown, but don't worry, we're only going to look at the top 10, not the top 40. At number 10, we have our introductory video for GMT's Panzer series, specifically the 4th expansion for the game. This one debuted on October 22nd and managed to do 258 views before the calendar flipped to November. At number 9, we have a long-distance dedication. Sorry, couldn't resist one more bad Casey Kasem joke. Number 9 was the playthrough of the Kursk DLC for the game Valor and Victory, which was a late September debut that did 280 views in October. Number 8 is related. It's the original playthrough I did for Valor and Victory way back in September of 2022. I'm guessing people watched Kursk and were curious about the rest of the game. Regardless of why, that video has popped into the top 10 with 283 views. Clocking in at number 7 is the Standard Combat Series entry Autumn for Barbarossa from MMP The Gamers. This one was a last-minute switch on my part due to what was, or is, going on in Israel and Gaza. Originally, this entry was going to be the SCS game Yom Kippur. Regardless, you can almost never go wrong with an Eastern Front entry, and this one did 284 views after it appeared mid-month. Number 6 was the October channel update. We'll have to wait to see if this update does better than its predecessor. October pulled in 286 views. At number 5, I just need to go back to Casey Kasem mode for a moment, because we have an entry that just refuses to exit the top 10. It's like Michael Jackson's Thriller or something. The first look video for Football Coach College Dynasty. It continues to stick around. It arrived on New Year's Day this year, and month after month, it is a top 10 performer. In October, it had 289 views. Number 4 was a playthrough of the digital, or PC, version of Lock and Load's Nations at War series. This was a good fit for both Tanktoberfest and my ongoing Platoon Level Tactical series, and it was a playthrough of a scenario from White Star Rising that received 296 views, finishing 4th for the month. Now we move on to the top 3, and at number 3 is an August entry, the gameplay example from GMT's North Africa 41 game. The Mark Simonich design was a good performer in September as well, and it kept it up in October, pulling in 386 views, 90 more than the 4th place entry. And number 2 was another long-time performer, approaching 6 months old, the Palestine solo playthrough from GMT's The British Way. It continues to do well. It took in 406 views, just 2 fewer than this month's number 1 video. That number 1 video was part 1 of the gameplay for Old School Tactical Volume 1, 2nd edition's Red Blitz expansion. This entry from Flying Pig Games, designed by Shane Logan, took top marks with 408 views, and also had the longest duration in terms of watch time amongst the top 10 videos. I am a big fan of OST, and it is nice to see it pull down the top spot for October. Now let's move on to what's going on right now. We're in November with The Emperor, a Napoleonic theme that may seem tied to the upcoming biopic from Ridley Scott, and I won't really go into the many historical inaccuracies that have been raised. because in reality the movie and my decision to do some Napoleon-related stuff are mostly coincidental. I've been meaning to do something featuring L'Empereur for a while, and the release of Herman Luttman's Vive l'Empereur was definitely a part of that. I've already done a first look at that game with a playthrough coming soon. It's a Luttman game, so you know it will be good. Other things on the table this month are Field Commander Napoleon, which has a 3-part gameplay series, and I'm hoping to get a couple more videos on my first ever game of the month on the channel before November flips to December. I'm also covering A las Barricadas, a War Storm series game, and it's part of the Platoon Tactical series. I've got a few more Napoleonic related goodies I'd like to feature this month, as well as something else from Flying Pig Games, which would be From the Long Road as part of the Platoon Level Tactical series. I've been doing updates on crowdfunding in previous monthly updates, but this time around, given that we are approaching the holiday season, I thought I'd focus more on the sales that are going on. We'll start with GMT Games. Every year in November, the folks out in Hanford reward their customers with a sale based on how many P500 purchases they've made over the year. Now everyone gets one game at the sale price, regardless of whether you bought any P500 stuff or not. And that discount is 50% off, which is a really nice one. But you get an additional 50% off on one game for each P500 you backed that was published over the last year. So there is a lot of potential savings out there depending on how many games you backed. I ended up being eligible for 13, which is kind of a lot, but having backed so many also meant that I kind of had most of what I already wanted anyway. Still, there are some great deals to be had while supplies last, and yes, their site always seems to end up getting overloaded and kind of crashing on the first day of the sale, which was Monday, but everything's going smoothly now. The sale's only good for a week, so act now if you want in on the action. Compass Games is also having a sale, and like GMT, they do this every year. Unlike GMT, Compass's sale actually lasts for a while. Nearly the entire catalog is available for sale, or I should say nearly the entire catalog is available at sale prices. And you can download the actual catalog on the Compass site as well. There are tons of great games available here, and most of them have a pretty solid discount. Likewise, Revolution Games is having a sale, and there are some really solid discounts to be had. I'm a big fan of Mike Omanella's Stalingrad Advance to the Volga, which unfortunately is out of stock, but several of his other and older games are in stock, and he's among my favorite designers. Speaking of favorite designers, Revolution is the home of many of the Blind Sword series games that was originally designed by Herman Luttman, and those are all on sale too, including the newest release, Grand Havoc. Now, if I had done this video last week, I'd have hyped up the multi-man publishing sale, which took place over on Veterans Day weekend here in the US. That weekend is over, and so is the sale. But I do have an upcoming sale worth mentioning, and that's Hollandspieler's annual sale, which begins November 20th. Amabel and Mary do things their own way, and they've actually posted a message from Monster, their spokescat, on their homepage, advising customers to wait for the sale. Now that says a lot about Hollandspieler and the way they do things, and if you haven't tried any of their games yet, you are definitely missing out. So yeah, that is going to do it for this month's update. I'll be back in December with another one of these fabulous slideshows for you. Until then, I'm Joe, this is Hexed Countered, and as always, happy gaming.